Oh, wrong host. Oh my goodness gracious. What did I do? It's going to be Chris. Ah, there we go.
There we go. Good evening,
Just from
everybody.
last
Welcome
week.
to good evening. Yeah, welcome to final episode of season 3 for Crap Chat tonight. We got a good panel here tonight. We're gonna be discussing a few things, questions related. So if you guys have questions, definitely get them in the chat. But first, I want to take a second to recognize Alfredo. So for those of you who haven't heard, Alfredo's mom passed away yesterday. So we want to have a moment of silence for Alfredo. Alfredo, on behalf of myself, Craig, Dylan, John, we wish you and your family the absolute best in this tough time. We wish you lots of comfort and joy in the memories that you did have with your mom. And you are in our thoughts and our prayers. So we're going to have a moment of silence for Alfredo's mom, and then we will get into the show.
Okay.
All right. Yes. So everybody at home, again, if you haven't heard, Alfredo's mom did pass away. If you haven't reached out to him, please do let him know that you're thinking of him, and send him and his family your well wishes and your regards in this time. Definitely not an easy time for him or his family. So just let him know that you're thinking of him, that his family's in your thoughts and prayers. So season 3 is coming to an end. We have Craig tonight. We have John. We have Dylan. Jen is on a private table in Biloxi right now. Any updates that I hear from the table during this show, I will update all of you because the phone has not stopped the entire weekend. It's just ping, 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 ping all weekend long. I was cutting the grass and my phone died because of all the texts that were coming in. But anyway, let's see how everybody's doing tonight. Let's get our come out rolls going. So, Craig, how are you tonight? And what are we coming out on tonight?
Oh, what am I coming out on? Gosh. Uh, I'm coming out on if you're like me and you haven't had a chance to go to the casino for a while, practice your toss. Practice your toss, put in the time, put in the effort. If you work from home like I do, get your practice in on your breaks, your lunch, give it an hour to 2 hours a night, or wake up early in the morning, get an hour in, and then do another hour at nighttime. Just practice your toss if that's what you want to do is shoot. I personally like shooting. I like throwing dice and I like repeaters. So find out, if you like Bone Tracker, do your toss on Bone, get a couple of books in, find out what your chart number is and practice those dice sets because it's worth it. I'm here to tell you it's worth it and it works.
You heard it from the man himself. It's worth it. John, how we doing tonight and what are we coming out on?
I'm doing good. Coming out on, I guess I'll just say it here. I mean, I've got some life happening, as you guys know. So I'll be actually gone as of Thursday this week. We probably won't have any shows for about 3 or 4 weeks. So sporadically here and there, I'm going to be. We have work being done at the house. I'll be traveling, helping mom move, and all that kind of stuff. So I will miss y'all for sure. Hopefully, you guys will notice that I'm gone. not
People
not be
will
happy
notice,
that
John.
not be happy that I'm
I'm
gone.
telling you.
But yeah, but I think beyond all that, the big thing is with Alfredo's mom's passing, it's a good time to always remember, right, that we're here. This it's a fun game, right? All the games we play are fun, and there should just be fun. And beyond all that, it's all about the people, right? So we make friends and acquaintances throughout all this. Luckily, we're on YouTube, and we get to meet a lot more people than most people do. But I appreciate everybody that I've met, and I had a good conversation with somebody today for a couple hours, and it's like you forget like just how good people are, I guess. And I think like I can't. I the reason why I want to play this game and why I want to deal this game, especially, is to hang out with people, and that's what it comes down to. Like the money's great and all that kind of stuff, and I enjoy making money and taking the casino when I can, but it's all about the hangout, right? And that's what it's about for me. So I just got to remember that, when things feel sucky, remember that we all have each other at the table, and it's all high fives and happiness, even if we lose a little bit of money.
Always a good time at the table, hanging out with people. Great community, obviously. And it's always great to hear from people too. It's just reach out to people. Let them know you're thinking of them. Let them just say what's up. I always love it. Like when I get Discord messages from new people, or somebody I haven't talked to in a while, I'm like, let's go. Like I'm talking. I'm down. So yep. And John, don't worry, people will miss you. You're like, like the fix that people need, right? It's like that, for lack of a better term, drug addict who needs their fix. Like, the craps addicts need the John fix in the morning. So
I
you'll
thought he was
definitely
gone
be
already.
missed. Don't listen to Craig. Craig, don't listen to him. He's full of old babe, you know. Anyway, the man in black, Dylan, how we doing today?
Well, there we're doing all right. There was a tornado that came through St. Louis. I don't know if you've heard about that or not, but it hasn't affected me too much. But the upstairs is we're trying to. The upstairs has always been super super hot, and so where I usually hang out and hide out on with Craps Chat, but it's super super hot up there, and so I'm just trying to be incognito and stay underneath a ceiling fan in the bedroom, and I just don't want to show everybody everything, and so I'm just being a little incognito here. So I'm just trying to chill out with a little fan that's blowing on me. So trying to keep cool. But other than
There you
that,
go.
everything's pretty okay. The come out would be just carpe diem. You got to seize the day every day, and be content and be happy with what life provides you. And it could always it could always be worse, and we don't want it to be worse. you know. But we want to seize the day and make the most of every opportunity that we can. So, and if that means I'm going to spin off of Craig's thing. If you haven't shot in a while, then it's okay not to shoot, and you could just bet. You can bypass the come out roll. You don't have to be a shooter. Just pass the dice. Seize the day.
I like it. I like it. Seize the day. Um, Yeah, for everyone at home tonight, this episode is going to be very you driven. So, questions, drop them in the chat. Things you want to hear discussed, drop them in the chat. Rants you want to hear, drop them in the chat. We're just going to sit back, relax, have a good time, and enjoy the finale of season 3 here of Crabs Chat. So, um, I'm going to shift over just a touch for a second. I'm going to talk on dial and seize the day for a sec. 'Cause it's a good mentality to have. You got to have that mentality. And if you haven't embraced that sort of mentality recently, start doing it, right? Start taking life by the balls and just doing what you need to do. Because good things may happen, right? Good things may happen. Something craps related for me recently. Last week I was dealing with severe vertigo, so I have vertigo problems and concussion problems and all this kind of stuff that they spark up randomly, and it sucks, right? But um, I was trying to get my rolls done for the Craps Nation International Shooters Tournament, and I was like, let me just get this shit over with. I just want to do it. I need something other than staring at my ceiling all day. So I did it, and I can tell you, I felt like I was on a boat when I was throwing. So maybe it was good practice for going on a cruise or something. But rolls were good. But I embraced that mentality of just seizing the day, doing what I had to do, and pushing through. So good mentality to have. And again, reminder, put your questions in chat, put a queue in front of them so John can queue them up for us. I see a couple coming in already. Or if you want to hear some specific topic discussed, let us know in chat and we shall discuss. So, John, you got Dusted's queued up. It's a good question, I think. I think for a good question for a lot of people. Backspin or forward spin? So, Craig, you've been doing a lot of shooting recently.
Yeah.
Backspin or forward spin?
No spin. No spin. I want them to land flat.
Okay. No
Um,
spin.
I've tried spin, I've tried backspin, and I've always had more success than forward spin. Forward spin, I tend to dig them into the come section. So like they
Mhm.
don't have my intent. Um, if I'm shooting from stick right and I'm doing an underhand toss, obviously it's forward. It's a forward toss. And if you can get it just right, so what I do is when I grab the dice set, I bring my index and my ring finger up to the edge, and keep my middle and my thumb in the middle of the dice, and then I kind of use my index and my ring finger to push them forward, because that's the whole point of a underhand toss, is to push them forward, not toss it like upward. It's to push them forward, and you got to have that forward roll momentum. Um, but with how I'm shooting right now, how I've been shooting for the last couple of months, I just want them to land flat. I don't want them to
There you
spin
go.
at all.
Yeah. I'm gonna go to John in a second here. I'm gonna go Dylan first because John's gonna just screw up this entire question. So great job, Dustin, for coming up with this one to start us off. Because John's gonna say neither, and I already know it, but he'll discuss why. Dylan, forward spin or backspin for you?
I would prefer backspin over forward spin. But I also, I would prefer no spin, but backspin over forward spin all day long.
Yep. All right, John, just take us sideways here. Take us sideways because I
I'm
know
not
you're
going to
going
go that
side spin.
sideways.
So
I won't. I won't.
no.
I will say side spin's good. If I had to choose between, so to me, it's forward spin and side spin over back spin. And the reason for that is just simple physics, right? So if you think about what is it? What is the saying or the physics law? Objects in motion want to stay in motion, right? So if the dice are moving and they're spinning forward and they hit, they're going to want to keep going. The dice are already moving forward, and if the spin is also forward, they're going to hit the deck and probably keep rolling forward like a steamroller, right? When you're going backwards and they're moving in one direction but spinning opposite of that, when they hit, all you can get is a collision because you're going opposite of where they're going as they're spinning. So I think the side spin when they skip and they keep on rotating, or the forward spin where they hit and they keep on going, is the way that you can control the energy, right? Backspin to me always causes it always causes a collision where the other two are going with the motion of the dice. So I like to see the dice moving and spinning in the same direction that they're going, which is why when I throw the chopper toss, I throw it to the corner either side because I want the dice to keep spinning and traveling the same direction where they're spinning and let physics take over. That's the reason why. No other thing than let the dice do what they want to do, which is keep going in the same direction.
Yeah, I think this question is it's dependent on the person, right? And the toss that you're trying to throw, right? So I think, all of us will give you perspective. I'll give you mine in a second.
Yeah.
But for those at home who are, talking about, forward spin, side spin, back spin, whatever, really depends on your toss, right? Craig brought it up. If you're throwing an underhand toss, it's gonna be really hard for you to put any backspin on an underhand toss. Unless, you have Herculean muscles, you can get it down the table. Otherwise, it's gonna be really awkward. So you're going to want front spin there. If you're throwing a chopper style toss, obviously they're spinning sideways as it is. So when they go forward, they're just going to go in the momentum that they're going, like John said. So they're going to roll forward. Obviously, no spin would be great. Unfortunately, that's almost impossible to achieve. Is no spin? It's possible, but the dice are going to spin somewhat for the most part. So for me personally, it's little spin, backspin. It would be, but as minimal backspin as possible. With a par toss, trying to toss. But it switches though if I'm throwing like an all seven set into the hook, like I like to throw it sometimes. That I don't care how much it spins because I want it to spin as much as possible and kick and do whatever because I want them off axis, right? So like in that instance, I'm looking for more spin, more kick, all that kind of stuff. But obviously, we do want neither to happen, honestly. But hey, if we could achieve of no spin, I think we'd have some insane results if we could get no spin.
I think the backspin thing would be the landing zone predicts a lot. If if your landing zone is really, really, really close to the to the back wall, then that's a huge help. compared to if your landing zone is more in the come area where of the table or what have you. So that the landing zone has a huge deal to of where you're, and there's always different variables, but the landing zone does have a huge part to play in that as well.
That's a good point too. And like even like
Yes.
the dice and stuff, right? You'll see people with like, new dice, especially new dice with a little bit of backspin, they dig. And like they sometimes don't even hit the back wall.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Right? Like I think
So
a lot of us, who have cracked open new dice are guilty of that. Like we're not hitting the back wall just because a little bit of backspin on that toss, they dig in and boom, they sit where they land.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
is it the
John.
assertion deal skill that and that when you're if the point of contact is closer to the back wall and they're spinning backwards, I guess with any spin, but the backward spin, when I watch the par toss in slow motion, it's a train wreck, right? But you're right. People land it on the pass line and the come, whatever. So the dice have got more time and space to go cattywampus, as Ed would say, right? Versus if you're right at the back wall, even though they're going to have a train wreck on that first collision, they're only an inch away. So they're going to hit before they start tumbling. They're going to hit the wall and let the wall do its damage versus that first hit from the table. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yes. Exactly. That's a perfect way to think about it. Yeah.
Obviously, if if you're able to hit that first row of diamonds where they hit and drop
You
back, and they just
right.
die.
And you
But
can practice.
but
There's a way to there's a way to practice that you can do it even below the pyramids as well. So that's what I ultimately try to
yeah, I was
do.
gonna say that we try doing that, but 75-85% of that time we just hit their bumper and they just
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they go 2 to
Yeah.
3 feet back into the come area.
Yeah, so Joe says I don't know how to do a forward spin, and I'll tell you when I learned the forward spin toss, we jokingly call it the four spin toss from G Dub, and he told me to use a Yuri grip, which I think somebody has in chat, and we're basically it's this right. You're on the points, but you're underhand, so you're kind of bowling it, right? It's almost like you're
Mhm.
bowling, and I do it from the points, and they spin pretty quick, but they hit the wall like a steamroller. Like they hit it and they come off the wall and they're still spinning like that weird forward motion. So it's more of a harder throw instead of trying to make them die. That was the way that G Dub showed me. It looks cool. I don't know if it works or not, but it looks cool, and it seems like it kind of plays along with that whole idea of keeping them going the same direction.
I'll be honest, that underhand toss where I'm trying to land them before they start going like that is like the 11 or 12 in the field. So they have plenty of time to die down.
Yeah. That's like so when I'm shooting from stick left, I mean I'm a right-handed person. So when I shoot from stick left, it's always par toss and it's always going to be backspin, right? It's going to be really hard for me to forward spin that. When I shoot from the right side though, I have been trying the underhand toss. I can't say I like it a lot, but I don't know. I could definitely see the forward spin on that, and then landing zone with any toss really is key, though, right? Like if you're playing any sort of toss that you want, like you have to know where your landing zone is for that specific toss, right? Because if you're gonna try to bowl them into the back wall and land them where you might land them for, let's say a par toss, those dice are coming back to you, right? Because you're gonna underhand chuck them basically. They're gonna hit. I mean, everybody around there put some safety goggles on because your eyes might get poked out.
Well, one of the problems is, you if you're doing like an underhand toss, unless you're stretching your arm out, which I don't have long arms, but unless you're stretching your arm out and tossing them underhand in the come lane, then it's just chip city and you take your poison because a left-handed par toss from stick left, you're able to avoid the majority of chips unless you have that one ass down at the end who's got his chips in the hook.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point too with the chips there because see that's the thing. Like again, I've only thrown underhand at my table here, but I could see chips being a major problem for me. Regardless, pass line, don't pass, even the field, like any chips in the way are going to be a problem. Whereas, like you said on the par toss, I don't have a problem with that because I can go right over them, right? Because I'm looking to be over them anyway because I'm
Yeah.
trying to land it close to the back wall. So like the chips don't really bother me there, and like I'll even practice with chips in the way. So when I'm at the casino, it doesn't mess with my visual at all. Where like where the dice are. I will say that one thing that does mess with my vision sometimes is I don't know if any of you guys have had this problem. The dimensions on layouts, how much room is between the line and the wall. I never noticed it before, I'll be honest with you. Like I know it at like some of our tables depends how hard you stretch the felt, and I know at the casino it does too. But like I never really took notice of it until I was really trying to dial in my landing zone like on my table, and I know exactly where it is. And then like when I went to the casino, there was more space in between the line and the wall, and I was like, hmm, that seems farther back. So I had to kind of go a little bit more. But then I went to another casino like the following week, and it was much closer to the point where like your pass line odds were almost up against the wall.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
there's no
it's interesting you
standard.
say that because, you know, I thought the same thing, because I have this like makeshift 10-foot table here. So, my pass line is however far it is away from the back wall. And I was like, in order to get it anywhere close to the local, I'm going to have to actually just walk and see how many feet it is from the one end to where I want to shoot from. And I found out it's 9 feet. So I've actually gone to a local casino and like a dork, I'm walking, counting 9 feet, and it puts me at around stick left two on a 12
Okay.
foot. On a 14 foot, it's obviously longer, but if I'm doing a 14 foot, I know for me, I have to put a little bit more power into it to get it down the table. But I think we can all agree if you're going to be doing an underhand toss and you're doing it from stick right side, you're only doing it on a bouncy table. If I find a hard table, I'm not messing with a underhand toss at all. It's always going to be from stick left
Yep.
or straight out for a hard table.
We'll keep unpacking the spin on this kind of stuff, but if you guys have more questions, again, drop them in chat, put a Q in front of them. And I know Joe just put in here that he noticed that pass lines are closer to the back wall and it interferes with the toss. I'll be honest with you, and like since Joe put it in there, like I said, I haven't noticed it until now. Like I'm starting to notice it more and more. But it's that's what I'm saying. It messes with my visual, right? The chips, like yes, they're in the way, and like if I hit them, I hit them. But like I try to avoid that by practicing with chips in the way. So like it's not something I blame because I like Ed's line with, I blame myself for the seven, right? I'm not gonna blame something else for throwing the seven. Drink lady comes around, stick change, whatever. Like it happens it happens, right? But it's me who threw the seven. So like I did something to cause said seven, right? But I don't know. For me, the visual is really weird looking down some of these tables and like seeing that the lines are closer to the wall. It kind of messes with my head a little bit.
But think about it. What don't you have at your house? And everybody can say that. You don't have a stick person in your way that you can't see
That's true.
you can't see your own results.
Yeah,
I know
that's
that
true.
I think Ed before, maybe Jeff has said before, if you can see one die and you listen out for the dice call, you can know what you threw. But it's been my experience that a lot of stick people do not stand back. They stand as
Mm-mm.
close to the freaking stick as they can, and it's totally in your way. And I literally had to tell a stick before, could you please step back? Like I can't
Yeah,
even see where I'm throwing. And again,
I
I'm
actually.
saying it why? Because I'm a short guy with short arms. And, as you know, Chris, in Atlantic City, the tables have different depths,
Oh yeah,
and that affects people who are shorter and have to go on the tiptoes to toss the same as they would on the 12 foot that has a
yeah.
shorter depth.
I actually talking about stick people leaning over. In Atlantic City last time I was there, I actually hit a stick lady in the face with my elbow. Because she wouldn't back up. And I asked her to. Listen, I asked her to. Now, mind you, I mean, for those of you who haven't met me in person, I'm 6 foot, decently large individual. Um, and I was at stick left one. Stick person was maybe 5'2", 5'3" at best. So like my arm when I'm going is at her face already. And I asked her, I said, hey, like, do you mind just stepping back a touch? I said, I know you have a job to do here. I said, but like my follow through is probably going to hit you. And she was like, oh, you won't hit me. I'm like, all right, fine. I go, bang, elbow right to the face. And I was like, I'm sorry, I told you. And then she did step back a little bit, right? But then the box was getting on me for coming into her area. And I'm like, well, I'm 6 foot. I have a 6 foot wingspan and I'm at stick left one. And the reason I was so close to her was because they had 8 people packed around the side, right? So, like, I have nowhere to move. Like, if you want me to move, I'm either in the guy's pants next to me or I'm in the stick lady's pants. So take your pick. Which one do you want? And they were like, well, ask that guy to move back. And I'm like, I can, but still, I'm like, my chips are literally in the small rack right next to the stick lady. So I still have to be next to her. But yeah, it's a good point.
But Chris can attest to this because the last AC trip, like they were really harping on moving stick left one people back.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like and again, tossing anywhere close to the CNE or the prop bets, they didn't want your hand to go over. Like this, it's totally ridiculous if you have somebody like Chris's size, who's when he's doing a par toss and his hand is in the air at shoulder height, that his hand is literally probably on horn high midnight as far as his hand stretches before he releases the dice.
Yeah.
Like you
And
can't,
especially with the toss that I've been trying now, it's a little bit of a longer hold on the dice with like a slower release. It's just something I've been working on. It's been having good results, but exactly that. My hand is across the middle of the table before I even let go of the dice almost when I'm at stick left one. And I can understand it on a small table, 12-foot table. These are 14-foot tables, right? So like I'm gonna try to get as far down as possible because I'm used to throwing on a 12-foot table. So if I like stick left one on a 12-foot table, well, stick left one on a 14-foot table is another foot that I got to deal with the back wall and stuff. So I don't know, but I saw
Yeah.
Kent put it in there too. He had a pit boss telling me he couldn't cross the C and E on his side. Now, in my case, if they told me that, I probably would have threw the dice to the pit boss because I was literally setting them at the C and E.
Yeah. When you're at that little tiny rack next to the stick person, you're on the CNE effectively. I mean, you can't
Exactly.
you almost there's nothing you can do about that. It's crazy.
And I was
John, you're
my
probably
response back to the pit was like, listen, you jammed 8 people aside. So either you remove somebody so I can move or I'm throwing from right here. Like take your pick. But there's no room for us to move around here. We're packed like sardines in, like I don't know what you want me to do.
I think we can all agree that this is the only table game they make up rules as you play.
Well, here's part of it though, and I know a lot of it is we think they're kind of coming at us, but Love Stars has this point. I want to address this a little bit because I happen to know the answer to this question about hit the ceiling with the dice is a rule. You can't throw it higher than the stick guy's head, right?
Yep.
And I think that is a thing. Can't throw higher than their head. And I think coming into them also stems from the same thing. And from David at Casino Quest, when I was there for the stick person's class, and the stick person's number one job, watch the dice and keep their eyes at the table, right? They can't leave the dice can't leave their field of view, but they're also watching the table. So it's a game protection thing. So if the dice go up and they're doing this, they're not watching the table, right? And if you're coming into them and they have to get out of the way or they're ducking, now they're not watching the landing zone, right? They're looking at you. They're not looking over here where they're supposed to look at the landing zone. So for game protection purposes, they got to keep their vision on that the whole time. And so if their eyes leave that, that's the real foul on our part. That's the genesis of it. Now some box will take that a little too far, right? When they see a dice setter and they're encroaching, I get it, but there's a mechanical piece to that also does make some sense. Ideally, the person next to you that's crowding you should have stepped back a little bit. You take a step to the left and nobody cares. When you're playing with the group, somebody always steps away. I know we're all together. The person next to the person throwing has always stepped back and doing one of these things to give the guy great breathing room. But a bunch of randos at a table, you're not going to always get that kind of courtesy.
No, definitely not. And that's what it was, and yeah, it happens. You
Well,
deal with it, you move on, and
or swapping
Yeah.
people. They came down hard on Jeff. He came over on a Thursday morning at AC, and he was at straight out. I was at stick left too. All he wanted to do was shoot from where I was standing, and I had no problem. And all they kept saying was, if he comes over there and shoots, then he can't bet, meaning me. And at first I was like, are you advocating for me that I can't bet because he's in my way? And they're like, no, you are not allowed to bet if he's going to shoot from your spot.
yeah,
Okay.
they
Wow.
don't. I know a lot of them get on you for that, for slowing the game down and other stuff. My retort to that every time is, you're slowing the game down more by arguing with me right now. So like, just let's keep moving here. But yeah, I know they do cause, especially in Atlantic City, they cause a ton of problems with that. Or like, if you want to even like shift up a little bit, like, if Craig's next to me and I'm at stick left one and he's next to me and he wants to shoot from stick left one, like, I mean, as John said, right, I'm stepping back, I'm 4 feet from the table, right? I come in, place my bets, and I step right back again. And then, but like, they'll start getting on you if they see Craig kind of sliding down into my spot. They'll start. You got to move back. You got to move back. And it's specific pit bosses who do it.
Yeah.
It happens.
Sweating
All right,
the money.
there's another question in here,
From
John.
Nish, right?
From
Nish?
Nish. Yep, from Nish.
Got it.
It's a
Yep.
good question. I want to touch on that.
For sure.
Nish said, I can see why you would set a stop loss limit on Crapsy, like Crapsmaster Journey's weekly show. At a casino, does anyone use a stop loss limit? Does a huge buy-in have an influence on one's comp rating? So I'm going to touch on the first part of that question first. We'll talk stop loss limits first. Then we'll talk on buy-ins and how that affects your comp. So, Dylan, what's your opinion on stop loss limits? Do you have one when you go to a casino?
Well, I it depends. Yes and no. I hate to say it like that, but to me, it's a psychological stop protection thing. It's a mental that I haven't completely gone all in and screwed up and mentally devastated. So that's the reason for it. If a person does it, or I mean, that's the way I've always. It's the way it was. That's what John Patrick taught, and that's where I learned that was where I learned from as the master, and then but I can see where other people say, well, if you've got the money, you're willing to, you should be able to risk it all and not have that. And I can see a validation of that too, if that's okay, if you're okay with that. But some people can't be they it's a like I said, it's a mental devastation if that happens to you and you've lost it all. Then when you're taking that walk of shame back to your car, after the casino trip is over, you're super kicking yourself. You're cussing yourself, and you're angry at the world. You're angry at life and everything, and it's a psychological devastation that you can semi avoid if you set a loss limit, and that's what it was designed for. But then, if you're okay with saying, okay, well, you know life happens, and I lost it all, and there's going to be another time, and we're going to, that was a battle that we lost, but we'll come back and try another time, which is what you've got to do when you lose. um it's a mental game. You just got to be prepared, and it's okay to look at it different ways. But those are the outsets of the reasons of why, from what I've gathered through my years of playing.
Craig, what are your thoughts on stop loss limits? Do you have one when you play?
So for the first 3 years of playing, I went under the John thing of no stop loss. I'm here to blow it, and that's it. Uh, this year specifically, I decided, you know what? I'm not gonna go with that anymore. I'm gonna go with a stop loss. So, but I've also decided that I don't want to play unless I have a buy-in of 600. That's going to be my minimal buy-in going forward for my lifetime, unless unless it's a high limit or something, or a private table. So 600 buy-in. So if 600 buy-in is my buy-in, I'm leaving. I'm going to play with 400 of it, and 200 is not going to be played with. And if I get down to 200, I'm walking. And in order to keep myself disciplined on that, I'm going to start asking for the dealers when they give out the chips to leave me 2 black chips. And that way I can see the black chips in my rack. And if I happen to get down there, then I know it's time to stop. Because I'm a firm believer that sometimes the day is yours and sometimes it's just not your day. And you need to recognize when it's not your day. And that's, you can walk, earlier, I can walk with 300. But if you feel like you're fighting back, but if I get down to that 200, at least it's black chips, and I know, okay, you've reached your end of playing this session. It's time to go. Now the good news is, to me, that 200 is going to help build the next 600 to get back to a $600 buy-in. Because again, I don't want to play anymore with 300 buy-ins ever again. It's not worth it.
John, what are your thoughts on stop limits and lost goals?
Yeah, I'm super disciplined, as y'all know, but I more lean on the win goal side of things. Like I'm going to lock up my win goal, and that be the thing. I'll play past that, of course, right, for a higher win goal. But the stop loss side of it, like, it isn't that I'm not putting the money up to light on fire, right? I think when people hear me say I've got a stop loss of 0, that's what they think I mean. And I don't really mean that. What I mean is like I brought the money with me to do its job, right? And the money that I brought, my relationship with that money typically is passing, right? Like it came out of a bank account that is set aside for gambling fun. And if I take it out and I happen to lose it that day, it's not the end of the world. It sucks, but it's not the end of my world. Like I don't need that money. So I disconnect from it in that respect, right? But as far as when do I stop playing, I think Frank says it here in chat pretty well. He says if it's a slaughter, stop the slaughter. Greg from 555 always says if you're getting punched in the face, cover your face, right? So not a stop loss per se, but it's like if I'm not getting it done, I'm not getting it done, right? And I don't subscribe to the whole let's stick around for 10 shooters and maybe the 9th one will be the guy. Like sometimes you're just getting beat up and you're like, this isn't any fun anymore. My bankroll is going away. I'll just stop playing and try later on. Like instead of going to 0, I just leave because it's not any fun. And I don't feel like it's going my way anyway. And it's just a vibe, right? So I'll stop the bad vibe and do it that way. But I look at it like you're bringing your bankroll to do the job. And so like, let's take Waylon as an example or Jimmy, the Martingale guy, right? In both cases, I don't mean to make them the same person, but in both cases, they bring the bankroll to support what they're doing. Like Waylon's bringing 5 or 10 grand because he's going to ladder up and he needs the money to ladder up, even if it takes him to the last level of his bankroll, right? So his stop loss of 0 is there because he needs it to ladder. And so the bankroll is the hammer. And if you're going to bring that kind of a hammer, you have to use the hammer to bang the nail. That's how I look at that, right? If I'm doing a Dallas drawdown for a quick paycheck and I buy them for $500 and I go 320 across, I'm putting up over half my bankroll. If I don't get it on shooter 1 or shooter 2, I'm going to be at 0 pretty much anyway. And it's like, well, I gave it my shot and today my shot missed. And I have to be okay with that. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So use the bankroll for the purpose of it. Yeah.
I will add this, for any new players that are out there, for years, and I say years now because I've been playing for 3+ years, so I can say years. I played with low bankroll and no stop loss And it always wasn't a bankroll that I could afford to lose. So I needed something to happen at the casino, and oftentimes it didn't happen. We've all been in and out of in and out of a casino session in a half hour, 45 minutes. It happened on my birthday. It sucked. But what I've learned is if you if you can, the best way is to save money over time. I don't know how you do it, how you care you do it. Look, we got some people in the craps community that are Uber drivers and they make their money that way. Chris, I know you do sports betting and, to pay for some of your buy-ins for, whatever you can get to pay for your bankroll. Then if you have a stop loss, and this happened to me on my last AC trip. I'm not, embarrassed or ashamed. I'm just learning discipline right now. I went with $1,000. I hit the ATS on day one. I knew I should have gone home. I talked to my wife. She's like, "Come home." I'm like, "But there's more people coming." And I said I should have came home. And I hit the ATS and I was 2,200 up, total with the $1,000 bankroll. Over the next few days, I should have divvied it out, put the 1,200 away, divvied it out, and played 250 a session the rest of the way. That way, I went home with 200 profit guaranteed. Didn't do it. Came home with zero. But I was not angry for the first time ever because it was money I could afford to lose. It had no bearing on anything and anything else in my life. It was money that I built up over time. I used it, I lost it, and because I called my wife on the way home and I'm like, I'm not angry for the first time ever because I knew I could lose it if I lost it. And it was such a great feeling. So that's my kudo, that's my advice to new players. Like,
That's a freeing feeling, isn't it?
it's
Yeah.
awesome. Make sure your bankroll is money you built up from some other source that has nothing to do with bills and your family life, whatever. Just make sure it's a side thing. And I guarantee you will have a better feeling when you do have those crappy sessions. And you're like, you know what? Didn't happen this time.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn discipline. It's going to happen next time.
Yeah, you got to be
100%.
careful though. Be careful a little bit though, because I think there's a trap in there. If that relationship with the money you brought is loose, the trap can be, I lost it, no big deal, right? I'm okay with that. The other trap to that is the win I got wasn't enough because it's money I don't give a shit about. So I won, but let's just keep going because it's money we don't care about, right? So you can also lose relationship on both sides of that. So you got to like train the brain to kind of be okay with, like, you're still win goaling it. You're still at some point, like you said, lock up. I bought him for $1,000. I won 2,200. Lock up 2,000 and put it aside. Play with $1,200 the rest of the time. That's so hard to do, right? And especially when like that money didn't mean. I don't say it didn't mean anything, but when the money is not critical that you bought in with, it's hard to do that. And I think we got to be careful about not being too soft on both sides of that equation. And that's, I think, where that separates you over time, right?
But think about it. Think about it. This is this is the thing about meetups. I knew more people were coming in that I wanted to see, but I guarantee you, nobody would have been angry with me if I had left Wednesday night, the first day I got there. Because what's our goal? Our goal is to win money. And I did it. I did it on day one. I should have just said, sorry, guys, I'm not going to be there the rest of the trip. I won what I came here to do, and I'm jetting.
Yeah.
Isn't that the first thing I said to you Thursday morning when I saw you?
Get out of here.
No, but
what happens?
That's my mentality on it too, though, is like, here's the thing, right? I know people are coming to see, whoever. I'll stay and hang out. I won't play. But like I told Craig, like if I would have did it, I literally would have left. And I told him Thursday morning, I said I had a room to Friday and I was going to be there till Friday. I said, if this morning session goes well on Thursday, I'll be home in time for dinner on Thursday.
Yeah.
I'll call my family. I'm coming home. Why? Well, I did well and I'm good. Like I don't need to stay. Do I want to see people? Sure. Will I stay to hang out with people? Yeah. Will I put the money back on the table? No. Or will I take a subset of it? Like like John said, right? If I'm up X and I want to be hanging out, yeah, maybe I'll grab a couple $100 and throw it out on the table and play around with it or whatever it is, right? But like I know I'm locking up a majority of that. Like that's my mentality when I go. Same thing with the stop loss. I'm not going to repeat what John said. I'm very similar to John. I don't have a stop loss. But again, it comes from the I can afford to lose what I'm buying in with. And going on with the same thing what Frank said, right? Like if I'm getting killed, I'm not going to stay there and keep getting killed. Like I will color up, and it's not because I hit my stop loss. It's because whatever I'm doing isn't working, and there's no point in trying to keep going because it's not going to work. And again, yeah, the 10 shooter rule, the 9 shooter might do it. Well, yeah, the 9 shooter may also not do it. So like if I'm getting hit in the face, like I'm not going to keep getting hit in the face, right? So I'm going to color up and I'm going to leave. That's just how it is.
So the thing is like this. And so the 10 shooter rules, this is interesting because I'm about to go on a cruise, as you know, in July, right? We're doing the July 4th Seattle to or Anchor or Alaskan cruise to Seattle. And 7 days on a cruise ship, you're not doing the 10 shooters thing. You're bringing enough money for 90 shooters. Like I'm going to be on that boat for 7 days, right? And I'm going to play quite a bit. It's envelopes, it's session money. It's like, that's a hard, and I think the worst thing, it happened to me the last cruise I was on. I think Ryan from Mark the Point happened to him too. The first night, first table won a fortune. That was the night that hit the hard way parlay twice with Michael Feldman, right? He rolled me, $2,000 eights, which was amazing on the hard ways, right? Cool. Up, right? Win goal on day one, night one. Now I got to go 7 days. 7 more sessions, right? And what do you do with that? And it's so easy to give it back when you're kind of a captive audience.
Discipline,
you know
John.
what I mean? It is.
But what Ed says though.
It's so
Remember
hard.
What Ed says. It's hard, but you got to do it.
Yeah.
So what you got to do is what Ed always says, right? So, and if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Ed from Roll to Win. What Ed always says is, you bring your envelopes, right? If you're going for a 7-day cruise, you have your 7 envelopes. Or if you plan on playing 2 sessions per day, you have 14 envelopes, right? So you're bringing your money, and let's say I'm going to use a nice round number. I know it's a larger number to some. $14,000. All right. Let's say you're playing $14,000. It's easy for 7 days. Nice math makes it nice and easy, right? $2,000 per day, right? If you're playing 2 sessions per day, boom, $1,000 a session. Again, that's why I picked that number. Nice and easy. Session 1, you call out for $1,500. That money goes back into envelope 1 in the safe untouched. You don't touch it the rest of the time. When you go back to the table for the second time, you grab session 2's envelope, $1,000 already. Whatever you have from that left over, boom, goes back into the envelope, and you keep doing that the entire time. Like I said with, because I think I said it in the text when Ryan sent his thing. Like, I know you want to keep playing. I get it, right? Especially when you're on a cruise, I'm going to keep playing. Right? I'm not going to stop playing because I'm on a cruise. If I'm in Atlantic City, I can drive home and I don't have to deal with it. But I'm on a cruise. I got 6 more days of literally going nowhere else. So I'm going to keep playing. But if I know that I am up $2,000 and like that's good to me, that $2,000 does not leave the safe. The other rest of that money that I brought, like let's say I brought $2,000. I won an additional $2,000. I have $4,000 sitting in the safe. I know for a fact I am not leaving that cruise down a single dollar on the tables because $2,000 is going in the safe and it's not getting touched. The rest of that $2,000 will be split up among 6 days. And again, if you want to use the wins from that, fine, because now you're playing with money that you are positive. Theoretically, yes, it's technically you could give it back to the casino, but it's your money, right? You're not going to be a loser on this trip. I'd keep adding to that pile though, if I was winning on these other sessions, or if you want to grow your bankroll a little bit for a bigger session later, you can do that. But like the using envelopes is the single biggest key to me for some of these meetups and these trips and stuff. Cause I never did it before until, I heard people talking about these envelopes and I was like, oh, I guess that makes sense. And then when I started doing it, I was like, damn, this makes a lot of sense. Like now I understand why the envelope thing is a thing. Because if you can use the envelopes properly and not have the mentality where, oh, well, I won $2,000. Let's turn that into $10,000 because this casino, I'm going to make this cruise my bitch. Good luck. You're going to turn into the bitch. That's what happens every time.
Yeah, well, at the AZ meetup, same thing. Like I don't do the envelope thing like most people do, but I basically, my first buy-in was $500, and win or lose, I bring the same 500 every session I go to, right? I don't buy in for more. I don't, whatever. But so many people just kept whipping out hundreds, and I'm like, because the table was shitty for the most part. And I was watching people just like these are, quote unquote professional players, right? Like guys that go to the meetups, people from the chat that we know are good players, just the entire, and we were there for three straight 3.5, 4 hour sessions. So you got to go to that session knowing if you're going to try and make 4 hours, bring your envelope, and that's got to be it. But I watched a lot of rebuys, and I'm like, man, oh man, just I don't know. The budgeting thing is a big deal to me, and like I said, I just have the rule. What I bring to the casino is what I'm bringing for that day, and that's it. 9 times out of 10, my envelope stuffing is I have an envelope for my profits. I bring 500, I win 560 or 600 or 900. And the excess goes into the envelope, and the same 500 comes back with me. And I just kind of keep a profit envelope going, and I just know like what my budget for the day happens to be, and that's just how I do it.
Yeah, but that's how I could have thought of it.
It's the same idea, right? Same idea.
That's how I could have thought of it when I was in Atlantic City. Was day one hit the ATS. I now won 1,200. With my $1,000 buy-in is 2,200 total. So I could have put 1,200 away, knowing I had 4 more sessions to play: 3 on Thursday, 1 on Friday morning. So that's 250 a session. I could have doled out and just redone my envelopes based on the original buy-in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Well,
and Craig, and Craig, the fact
like
that
the envelope thing, but I don't actually use envelopes. I'll be honest with you. I use binder clips with sticky notes on them because
it's the same
that's
thing.
how I like to do it.
As long as you're segmenting
one big
it out,
envelope. Right? Yeah, one big envelope with
Yeah.
a bunch of binder clips with wads of cash in each binder clip.
Yeah.
But the reason I like the using and separating out for each day is because I don't like to take the money that I've won and then use that to keep going. I like to put that aside, new buy-in, and like I don't like to keep stacking my buy-ins on top of each other because I feel like that is an easy way to get undisciplined with
I can
the
see
whole
that
system that you're using, right? So like if you have $500 and let's say you won 600 or you won 100, so now you have $600. Well, yeah, you may put the 100 in your profit envelope, but then if you go to the table next time, are you going to grab the same 500 that you used, or are you going to grab the next 500? But the problem with using the same 500 each time is that when you have a couple bad back-to-back sessions, you can easily get lost where you are in those buy-ins.
I can see that.
Next thing you know, it's day 5 and you're on day 7's buy-in already.
Yeah. I can see that. I can see that. So Craig, a word of advice, maybe for everybody too, right? It's like when you're in that, because you fell into the trap that I would fall into, honestly, which is I'm here in AC, and matter of fact, I'm going to be in Atlantic City in a few weeks. When I go to visit, when I bring my mom to Jersey, I'm going to circle back through AC. We got to play together.
Let me know.
I will let you know for sure. Side note, but when you got people coming into town, you don't want to leave, right? I mean, money one aside, like I'm not leaving town. I got all these people coming. I want to hang out and do the thing, right? That's where you say, okay, let me go and whatever you're going to do, $12, 6 and 8, or whatever your minimum is, and just ride it out. Like that's what you're saying. Like buy in for $250 and do something super simple and just have minimum bets and who gives a shit. You already got your profit. Have some fun and just talk.
Yeah, because we've said it before. Like if you've done it, if you've won what you came to do, and what I came to do was hopefully double my bankroll, which is what happened on day one. But it's again like I still could have even I could have put 1,200 away and came home 200 profit no matter what happens over the next 48 hours.
Yeah,
and then split up the original buy-in however however many sessions I was going to do, and then do that. Just go simple. 6 and 8. What can happen? If something's going to happen, it's going to happen. If it's not going to happen,
Yep.
who cares? It was 250 a session.
Right.
Play the
Right.
pass line. One of the things I've been doing
Yeah.
when I'm shooting is I am hitting points, and so what I'm doing is I'm just doing a 6-8 and max odds on the pass line. If it's a 3, 4, 5 times, I've been practicing that because that's the local. And then if if the point is a 6 or an 8, then I just hug the point and still do max odds. But I start off with, like 220 inside minus whatever the inside point is if it's inside point, and just do the 6 and 8 if that's the case. But I'm hitting points, and it's like once you hit 1 point and you have max odds on it, you've paid for that one hand, and just go from there. It's all about can you do it? Can you get past that PSO roll? Can you at least hit a couple of inside hits? And then from there you have to decide: am I going to regress, or am I just going to go for it and put the pedal to the metal? But I'm doing it knowing I'm going home with 200 profit.
Yeah.
So and that and you can already feel good about that. It doesn't mean you put away the money with 200 profit guaranteed to go home, and you just decide to play like shit for the next 4 sessions. Still gonna play with discipline.
Yep. Yep.
And for anybody at home who is going to these meetups, like I get the I want to stay and I want to hang out with people, but do know that nobody is going to hate you or be mad at you if you do decide that you want to leave. Like that's not a problem. Everybody will understand it, and I will probably tell you they'd be proud of you for doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, yeah, it sucks you don't get to see the person, but like you were smart, you were disciplined, good job on your win, and enjoy it. Like no one's gonna get mad at you for it. And because it's a very easy trap to fall into. It's a very, very easy trap to fall into.
Let's wind back to my opening statement today. You're at a meetup to meet people and fart around, right? It's okay to not play. Like I love this game, but I don't have to play it. Like I'm fine sitting on the stools next to the table and just shooting the crap with somebody, literally, right? And just like I spent an hour and a half with Larry Magic Aces the last time I was in Atlantic City. It was great. I never met the guy. We talked for like an hour. I missed out on like the whole table one time around, right? That's good stuff. That's part of why we have the channels and the meetups is to go there. And I'm not going to a meetup to show off my shot. I'm going there to hang out and talk, right? And do a thing. That's part of the point of this stuff, right? So don't forget that. Like it's okay not to play.
And we've been told, from tons of people, you have to decide what you're there for. Are you there to win money, or are you there to hang out? Because if you're there to hang out, don't bring a huge buy-in. Don't bring a huge bankroll. You're there just to hang out. Go with $100 per session or something if you're just going to chit chat. But if you're there to win, bring the proper bankroll. Like Ed says, play like you practice, and move on. And and that's what the main goal was. The main goal was to win, and that's what I did on day one. And so the rest of the time, if I really wanted to just hang out, then I have to decide I'm just there to hang out.
Yeah.
And I think that's the coffee run, right? That's your coffee run. If you want to make money, you're doing your coffee run. If you want to have fun and hang out, you're bringing less money and doing something like Ed, the $19 don't with the whatever 6 and 8 that he does, that little whatever it is that he does on most people. Fine, who cares? Well, Gargoyle probably cares about the $19 don't, but everybody else wouldn't give a crap, right?
Just hide the DP from Gargoyle.
Hide the DP, right. But that's the kind of stuff. It's a who cares bet. And if somebody happens to go off on a 30 roller, great. You started out in the 6 and 8, you're probably going to be able to spread and have fun with it anyway. Like you're not going there to earn your profit at a meetup. Like you're going there to that's not the point. And I think if you happen to win because you got lucky at a meetup, fantastic. Somebody always goes off on a heater, and it's cool. It's a great story, but that wasn't the reason for it. You're not like locked in and not making any mistakes. You're there just to kind of do your thing. So have good money management skills, use the envelopes, do your thing, and have a great time. That's what it all boils down to. It's like cheaper than going to a concert. I told this, we spent, between me and Kathy's backstage passes, the hotel, the drive down, and 3 dinners with my son, and we spent almost $3K going to see the concert last week, right?
Yep.
It was fun, but that same amount of fun at a craps table, you go, oh God, I lost $500. It's the worst thing in the world. No, I spent $3,000 seeing a band, right?
Yeah,
Spending
exactly.
a grand with
right.
you guys is just as fun,
I
right?
went to San Antonio back in March to see my son in a concert, and I think we wound
Mhm.
up spending $2,400 for hotel, dinner, flights to get us
Yeah.
down there, and we were only there for 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, no, those things can get expensive, and again, you can't.
It's entertainment.
You got to look at
it's entertainment.
You got exactly. That's what I was. You got to look at gambling as an entertainment. If it's a lifestyle for you, that's different. But for 99% of people who are listening or watching, it's not
Right.
a lifestyle for you. Even though as much as you want to say you're degenerate, it's not a lifestyle for you, right? Your paycheck that pays your bills and all that stuff does not come from gambling. It comes from some other source of income. Gambling is a hobby that you do on the side or that you do to have fun or whatever it is. John, do you still have Nisha's question? I can scroll back and grab.
I can
grab
find it.
Because
I have it.
he
Yeah.
had a second part to that question was does a huge buy-in have an influence on your comp rating?
Ooh, good question.
John, I'm going to go to you first because I think you're going to have probably the most insight on this. And
Mhm.
then we'll kick it around the horn. So go ahead.
Yeah, it doesn't directly affect your comp rating. So the amount you buy in has no bearing on it. They're looking at your bets. Now, you buy in for 5K, they're going to watch you play. So it does bring the eyeballs to you. So if you're going to buy in for 5K and buy it and do a $12 6 and 8, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't give a shit about you. You're a persona non grata. Doesn't matter. But it's going to get the eyeballs for sure. So if you want them to watch you bet, like on a cruise ship or something, you really need those comps. Buy them for $5,000. Go out there 220 or 320 across, whatever you're going to do, and get the eyeballs on you, and then use it as the leverage that it is. But they don't care. It doesn't matter. It's not part of the equation. It's how much you're betting for how long of a time.
Exactly.
That's what I wanted to say, but I wanted to get it from the official's mouth first. But yeah, they don't give a shit what you buy in for, other than the fact that they'll look at you a little bit differently if you buy in for more. But again, like John said, it depends on what bets you have out there, because I have seen guys buy in for 10 grand and do a $12 6 and 8. The 10 grand buy-in means nothing to them. Like the casino doesn't care once they see that you're placing a $12 6 and 8, because I'm getting rated higher on a much less buy-in because I'm betting more than the guy who has the $12 6 and 8. Now, again, if you're doing something like a Whalen or like a Jimmy, and using like a martingale type thing, then that may draw some more eyes and other stuff. But again, the initial buy-in will get you visibility from the start. Your bets are what's going to keep the eyes on you. If you don't have the eyes on you because your bets are too low, it doesn't matter what the hell you buy in for. If you buy in for $12, you buy in for $1,200. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
But if you want to get them looking at you and paying attention to your average bet, make some dealer bets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
for
too.
sure. For sure. And dealer bets and dropping money to the I like so dealer bets are one thing, but what happens I find is that people piggyback. If I'm going, dealers inside or whatever, people start piggybacking on that, and your bets get lost in the mix, right? If I really want them to have it, I'll give them the cap off my winnings. So a $35 win, they can keep the 10. And that's like, $10 for they knock it in, and everybody's looking at who did that. And then the guy goes to your bets, right? That's ways like that to get noticed when you have a bigger bet out there is huge. You got like $105 or a $90 6, and it pays 105, and you say five for the crew, and the box looks down and sees the black chip size bet. That's a rating thing. That's how you start getting it bumped up. And you stashing money, by the way, doesn't work. People think putting black chips in their pocket matters. It doesn't matter. They have a straight up count of every black chip that leaves that casino. So when they're paying you in blacks, they know.
If someone's interested in knowing, how they're doing, you are more than welcome to ask the pit boss, what was my average bet when your session's over?
Yep.
They'll tell you.
Yeah, and the one thing with that though is like don't abuse that. And what I'm saying is not to not ask, but like if you are consistently doing like, let's say, I don't know, 96 across, right? And like, yes, you have some good rolls that get you pressed up, most of the time you're not getting rated at what you're pressed up at. Your initial bet is what you're going to be rated at. You might get rated slightly higher than that, but like if you end up with having, 96 across most of the time, but on one shooter you happen to have $400 out there, don't expect a $400 average bet per hour because you're not going to get that. I see a lot of people fall into that one where they're like, but I had this out there. Well, yeah, on this shooter you did, but the rest of the shooters you've been playing the same way for the past 45 minutes and you've never gone above that.
Yeah, it's
I'll
all
tell you,
about.
if you get interested and you get in on it on a heater, not of like box numbers, but and we like to go back to this one session that Jeff, Chris, and I were on at Tropicana when this Golden Touch guy was trying to hit the ATS and he could not get out of the horn section, and we just capitalized on it. So literally, we were not playing the boxes pretty much at all. We were playing the field and the horns and
I
the
didn't have box
C&E and
bets.
all that.
I turned them off.
And interestingly enough, when we were done, is when I asked the pit boss, I said, "What was my average bet?" He said 190. It was just from playing prop bets on the horn.
Yep.
And because that guy hit, what was it, six ace deuces in a row.
Yeah, he did. And that's the thing. Like, I mean, you and I had multiple $100 horns out there. Like, I mean, at one point, I think my horn was up to 200. I mean, I started at a nickel. Like, you know how hard it is to get up to 200 from a nickel?
Yeah.
Um, but
But
like
you'd be
he didn't
surprised,
hit
like I
it
say,
though.
you'd be surprised what your average bet is when you're doing something that gets built up over time real heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Skill, you have anything to add on that?
It's all about consistency. Your average bet. That's basically what it is. You have to be consistent, or and have a strategy or whatever you're doing, and be consistent in that leveling, and that's what they're gonna see, and that's what they're gonna rate you on. It's just that simple.
Yep. Arnell does make a good point in here too. It's because sometimes the house edge on those bets are higher, so they give you a little bit more of a bump too, right? Like if you're sitting there passing on with max odds, like you're gonna get the lowest possible rating that they can give you for that. Whereas if you're playing center action and other stuff, they tend to bump your rating up a little bit because of that house edge and all that kind of stuff. Um, so I think there's a couple more questions. We can get on them quickly. I'm going to touch on Tom's question.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
we'll go to Dustin's question.
Sorry about that.
You're fine.
Yeah.
Dustin's question: regular play. Tom, I'm coming to you after. Regular play versus bankroll, and is the line decisions part of either strategy? Skill, bankroll builds or regular play? What's your forte?
Ooh, um, it, it just depends on what I'm there for. I mean, because it really does. I mean, but I'm there.
That's the question. Yeah.
I like the bankroll build. I don't have I have zero problem with that. I have zero problem either way. But sometimes I'm in that one mindset, and then sometimes I'm in the other mindset camp. So there's not a really wrong or right answer to that. It can't. So it's whatever you want to chase. You want to be consistent with whatever your goals are. So that's what I want to say about that.
Craig?
Uh, Line bets are not part of my regular play at all. I do not play line bets unless I'm shooting. And if I'm shooting or if I'm bankroll building, I will try to go max odds on the pass line or on a 3, 4, 5 times table. I've never done it on a 10 times table before, probably out of sheer fear. But because 15 or 25 minimum, I'm not doing 250 on the odds. Not yet. I don't feel skilled enough to do it that, like that. But bankroll building, I will play pass line just because it's interesting how many people hit the points. And it's a quick bankroll builder too if you're doing like max odds. Um, like I said, even on a 3, 4, 5 times, if you have a 10 or a 4 10 is the point, and you got a $15 table or $25 table, let's say at 25, um, 75 odds gets you 150. That's a pretty good haul in for bankroll building.
Yep. John, bankroll building or regular play?
Yeah, the lines become bigger part of my play recently, actually. And you know, if you're building your bankroll from the don't, of course the line's a big part of your play, right? That's the nature of it. But on the right side, I've been using the line parlay a lot more recently as kind of a side bet. I kind of do that now as a side bet, and yeah, I've been incorporating it a lot more, for sure. And sometimes you bang out a big line bet, and you're like Craig said, you're kind of done. Like, okay, that did a lot for me. Like, you know, you forget about the power of that when it works out. It's especially the parlay. If you're doing a line parlay, it works out really well. But one bet with odds on it can fund, you know, 5 more shooters for you.
Especially if it's true odds, you know?
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
You just gotta have the bankroll to do it. Like you said, the problem with line play with odds is that most people don't have the money to do it. Like, you're not going to walk up to a table and say, hey, give me $150 on the 6. Right. But you're more than happy to put 25 and 5x odds behind it. It's the same thing, but nobody thinks of it that way. So you got to make sure you've got the backing bankroll to do it.
No, most people are putting 1x odds behind the pass.
Yeah.
Or no odds.
Right.
I'll put no odds.
I think Chris and I don't know the guys. I think the guy's name was Doug. Much older gentleman, loves to play from the stick left hook, and he will go max odds, but he will have a heavy pass line. So he'll do, you know, $50, $75, $100 pass line, so he can do higher odds in the back. Mm-hmm. Man, when they, you know, those points hit, and I'm winning 25 on the pass line and 30 for a 25 odds on a 6 or 8, and here he's winning $700. You know?
Yeah, but the line was his main play because he was min across until he started pressing. Mm-hmm. So it was interesting to see because it was, you know, like he would start out with a quarter on the pass line, max odds on that, and then minimum across. And then, you know, you hit your point. All right, that goes to a $50 line bet with max odds. And he would press the box numbers and stuff. But the pass line with odds was his main play, really. Mm-hmm. And that got progressively larger the more points you hit, which was interesting because, like, typically, you know, you see the let's say the 1x odds behind with the cross, and like you're trying to build up the box numbers. Not this guy; he's building up his pass line and his odds, which was interesting to me. You basically stack everything on top, which was kind of cool. I'm quickly going to answer.
His name was Dean. I'm sorry, his name was Dean.
Dean, yeah. I'll quickly answer Dustin's question. When I go to the casino, it's mostly regular play. If I'm doing bankroll building, I do it on my phone at home more often than not. That's because I can play craps from my phone at home, and it's easy. And I don't have to
Mr. Pennsylvania.
Because I'm lucky.
Right.
That's beside the point. All right, Tom's question. Notes about the 100 and I'm gonna asterisk that it's 107 rolls at Harris on it was a couple of Fridays ago. I have you can't see it because my screen's there, but I have text from the source of people who were there firsthand what happened. So it was 107 rolls from stick right 2. Funny enough, his first roll was a no roll. They called it a no roll or something like that. It was a 2.5 hour roll in total. Shooter made the all once and made each of the 2 sides twice additional. So basically 3 smalls, 3 talls, 1 full ATS. There was 5 suits watching the game, and the supervisors at the table were in the 6-figure range. They were saying was what was won. Later confirmed that 2 players pulled over $400K off the table themselves. There was bets that were box numbers were maxed out at $6K a box number. So Harrison Atlantic City has a $5,000 max, $6K on the 6 and 8. So there was box numbers maxed, $1,000 come bets with $5K odds, $1,600 horns, which is the max horn there, was being thrown out, $600 hardways. People were up to 3,000 on the line with 15,000 in odds. There was 6 total chip fills.
Wow.
During that roll. So that's the Spark Notes version of what happened on that roll. From what I've heard after the fact, there was 2 guys with over 400,000 in chips. They literally gave them plastic baggies because they couldn't carry all the chips. So they were filling up plastic bags with chips so they could take them to the cage.
Mhm.
And obviously those two guys had a lot, but there was a lot of money made by other people. The shooter himself, I think, may have made the least amount of money, believe it or not, because he started the roll with very little in the rack. I think he colored up for like over 6 or 7 grand, which is not a bad thing at all. He did turn his bets off multiple times for different reasons. So yeah, there you go. There's your 107.
Yeah, that might have been the guy that he had $140 buy-in.
Yeah, $140 buy-in. He turned to like 7 grand, which again,
Was
that's a huge ROI. Like,
Yeah,
don't get me wrong,
yeah.
it's a huge ROI. But yes, that was a insane roll. The
Mhm.
texts that were flying during that roll, like in the AC group, were insane. Like,
Yeah.
this guy's still shooting, this guy's still going. Unfortunately, nobody from the AC group was on the table at the time. People were watching. They were not on the table. The table was packed. You couldn't get on it. There was rows
I
of
believe
people
one of the
watching the roll.
one of the 400K winners had a $10,000 buy-in,
Yes.
which is an insane ROI.
Yeah. I mean, listen, all the ROIs on that table should have been insane. There's no way even if you were a don't player, you had plenty of time to come back and watch.
If you came out of that session and you didn't win much, just stop going to casinos altogether.
Literally. But
How many
yeah,
points? How many did they say? How many points?
it did not say how many points. There was no confirmation on what was hit other than the fact that it was 107 rolls, which was told after the fact. One of the bosses the next day told him how many rolls it was. The ATSs were known, but don't know how many points were hit. And I couldn't tell you what the roll distribution on the 107 looked like.
I mean,
Fun
at that
fact.
point, you're putting 100 on you're putting 100,
Yeah.
100 for 21K.
Yeah.
on the
So did
ATS.
the,
yeah.
did the, did
Well,
the two
that's-
guys
there
win
was-
40 grand, $400,000 each, or $400,000 between them?
Each, but they were maxed on the ATS. They were the guys who were
Right.
at max bets across. But like
Okay.
playing in Atlantic City regularly, I have a feeling I know who the people are, or I could pick them out of a lineup who the
Mhm.
people who won the 400,000 are. And they can get their bets up very, very quickly, and they have
Mhm.
lots of money out there all the time. And these guys typically buy in for 5 to 20 grand a session.
So
So-
fun fact for you. If you buy in for 10K and win 400, it's 40 times your bankroll. You buy in for 140 and you win 6,000, it's 44 times your bankroll. So the shooter did better.
Yeah.
From a
Yeah.
percentage
Well,
standpoint,
that's-
from a math nerd standpoint, he did better. From a financial standpoint, not so much. But just
Yeah. But I mean,
Numbers-
shit, if you're
numbers
buying
lie
it
and
for
liars.
$140 and you walk out of the casino at 7 grand,
That's okay.
You're having a great
That's
day.
pretty-
Let me tell you,
Dinner's
That's
on
pretty
Chris.
okay.
Doing great.
Dinner's on
Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah. But what's it called? Yeah, the guys who I mean, they were giving out grade chips. I've never seen great. I mean, I've seen grade chips at Harris. I've never seen them given out.
Oh my God, they were $5,000 chips, right?
Yeah, but they were literally like, I mean, hold on. I'll find
This
the
guy
picture
had
and I'll.
this guy had a stack, and I know it doesn't look like anything on camera, but that's about how a stack of 100 red and 100 or 100 in red and 500 in green really kind of fits your hand. Like that's one stack.
Mhm.
He had 2 stacks of $5,000 chips.
Hold on, let me turn my background blur.
That's
off.
crazy.
Where's my background? I need no background.
Oh, Love Star is a great
There we
question.
go.
What did the shooter get tipped on that one? Can you imagine?
Probably a ton. Here's them literally filling baggies on the table.
Oh my
Those are
God.
$1,000 chips.
That's
Those are
so.
all
That's,
$1,000 chips.
imagine getting
Yeah.
a
And
freaking
then-
Ziploc bag full of chips because you
But,
won.
like,
That's
When
unbelievable.
you need help to go to the cave,
Like,
you
you
had a
can
good
see
day.
these rails just full of chips.
Man.
Every rail was packed. But
You have the
so
one with the $5,000 chips?
yeah, I can grab it. But like I can tell you, so here's where you know the table's doing well. When the dealer chip racks, they have $1,000 chips that they're paying out in, then you know that the table's
Right.
doing well.
Yeah.
But I can see some of the people at the table, and like one of the guys who I can see at the table, I'm not going to show his picture, but I can assume he is one of the guys who won $400,000 because I've played with him numerous times, and he bets like a fish. But here you go. Here's literally a rack of $5,000 chips.
Oh,
So pretty, man.
So yeah,
I want to say I counted that, and there were, I think it was 170,000 in $5,000 chips.
yeah. So those guys did very well, very, very well. Shout out to them. And shout out to the shooter. 107 rolls.
That's dreamland stuff right there.
Look, I'm here to tell you, I had a 49 roller and only made $300. Okay.
Yeah.
When I first started out.
I always share this story because I rolled for almost 2 hours in Arizona. When I was first playing the game, I was afraid to get above black chip level on the bets. I maxed out at 640 across, probably an hour into my roll. But there were guys who were clearing thousands off the table to the point where I got tipped more than I actually made on my own roll because I was new to the game, didn't know what I was doing, and like I was afraid to lose money at the time. I literally just graduated college. Like I was afraid to lose anything really. So I literally went minimum across. I got up to black chips across, and I stayed there, and I'd never went higher than that. Never played the ATS. I hit it twice. Never played it. But there was guys at the table doing very, very well. I actually played with, at the time, it was Najee and Damian Harris. They did very, very well
cool.
at the table that day. But,
That's cool.
Yeah. All right.
Yep. Last question here from Old School Craps.
Yeah, I'm just going to touch on Dustin's real quick because he asked estimated what the table paid out. It was well over $1 million.
Yeah.
Because two guys themselves cleared 400K. There was a couple guys who were probably in the high 5, if not 6 figures themselves. Because again, I can see the faces of the people that are at the table, and I know quite a few of them. And on a 20, 30 roller, they're making a few grand. So when you add 107 rolls, they're making a few $100,000.
It's a crazy town. I would love to get the tracker. I want that roll list to put in the computer. I want that roll list to put on automation, so I can throw a bunch of strategies. I just would love to see what that looks like. Yeah.
It's utterly amazing to see. We have a couple of people in the AC group who, I won't mention their names, but they before you blink, they're already at 600 on a 6 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, my God.
Yeah. Now there's some big players who can they can afford it, right? So they can get up and go. But some of the people at the table that I'm seeing, like I'm talking, they don't collect until they're at $500 chips across. It's press until they get there. Then they start collecting.
Wow.
Closest I came, I did a video challenge of that, but
yeah,
it was all fake.
Right. Let's. You want to end on Old School's questions? I see we're pushing 10:30 already.
Yep.
Yep. All right. Old School Craps. Do any of you bring a small notepad to track anything such as point hits, number of rolls, how many 4s or 10s thrown between 7, so on and so forth? Yeah, we'll kick it around. I can tell you, I did for a little bit. However, I stopped doing it because it was becoming too much for me to do when I was shooting. It was taking away from me concentrating on shooting. There are times where I will do it on other people. However, I use chips to denote what happens now. So I adopted the chip system that Clay uses. I use it now, where I use white chips to mark numbers that are hit. So in the rail in front of me, I will have 6 white chips, 4 through 10 there, and I will flip them over when they hit, and then I will add more chips to them so I know what's hitting. I typically do not track points that are hit. However, if I'm on the roll and I'm at the casino, I could tell you how many points were hit. If you ask me now about what happened 2 weeks ago, I couldn't tell you. But like if you ask me in the moment, I could tell you how many points were hit. But I just track box hits is really what I care about because that's what I'm getting paid on. Skill, do you track anything?
No, absolutely not. I just short and sweet and simple. I don't.
Craig?
I've used that notebook we got from the Craps for the Cure one year, the little notebook and pen. I've used that a few times. Last time I used it was at Horseshoe Casino in Vegas. And I'm literally writing down like I would for the Friday night fights. And like I wrote dice went off table. And I wrote a circle with a slash through it because I turned my bets off.
Yeah.
But and we can all say this, if Jen was here, Jen tracks every roll of every shooter, every session. So you literally could go up to her and say, "What did I shoot?" She will tell you.
See, I'm also guilty of this. When I'm with somebody who I know is doing it, I don't do it at all, because I know somebody else is doing it. So I am guilty of that. But like when I go to my local, you'll see me flipping chips and stuff. I've had people ask me about that, but yeah, like if I'm playing with Clay or I'm playing with Jen, like you won't see me do anything because I'll just look over at Clay's rack and see what he's got in front of him.
Yeah, I'll
I'll
do
just
the same
ask
thing with
Jen what's
Jeff's rack.
going
Yeah.
on. Yeah, I'll look at like if I'm playing with somebody I know is doing it, I will just ask them what they're doing. Like same thing with Atlantic City. There's a couple guys who write down every roll religiously. I'll just ask them what it was.
Yeah, I know like Big AZ's meetups, Blackburn is typically the one who's writing the rolls down. Because
Yeah.
they roll it down for the purposes of he puts it on the video later.
hmm I did for a little bit in case anybody's interested. I don't use it really anymore, but there was an app that I had on my phone. It was like a counter app that has an Apple Watch app attached to it. So like I would wear my Apple Watch and like you could, plus or minus rolls. So like I did use that for a little bit where I was like tracking how many rolls there were total. But then I found that that just didn't help me because rolls are one thing, payable rolls are a different thing, right? There's a difference between a 10 roller with 6 box hits versus a 10 roller with 2 box hits. So like I stopped using that, but if
Mm-hmm.
people are interested, there are counter apps out there that you can get on like an Apple Watch or like any smartwatch they have them. And you can like use that to count if you're interested.
And maybe you've noticed this more, Chris, but for a while, dealers were against like phones at the rail. They wanted you to step back 2 to 3 feet if you're going to use your phone.
Yeah,
They've yet to say anything about using your watch. Because
they don't say anything.
I've even like text a message, into my phone, and I haven't had anybody say anything yet.
Yep. Yeah, no, I've done that too. Or you saw my glasses. I'll text through my glasses now. But
Yeah,
that's
where are those
beside the point.
videos?
Yeah. Oh, I have them. I have them. I have them. I got to send it to you. Because I did watch your one roll where you would have hit the small and it was there and it obviously it rolled over, but it was so close. But I'll have to send that to you. But yeah, no, there's plenty of ways to do it. Pen and paper, obviously the old fashioned way. Like again, I think it's useful, but I found that when I was writing them down, it was too distracting for me. Especially when I'm shooting. On other people, it doesn't distract me because it's pretty easy for me. But when I'm the shooter, it was distracting to me. I would ask, fiance DJen to do it for me when I'm rolling. But if she's not at the casino with me, she can't do it for me. So
Surprisingly, it's one of the few things they will allow at a table. They do not care if you have like your scribbling pad with a pencil. They don't.
no.
They don't really care.
Some dealers will ask what you're doing.
Yeah.
Some dealers will ask like, "What are you doing?" And then like, I remember one dealer told me they were like, "You're too young to be doing stuff like that. Like only the old farts do that." And I'm like, "Hey, I'm trying to use this for something." Well, I was actually trying to just get a huge list of roles so I could run strategies through them. But yeah, I don't know. I still have the notebook. I have a couple of them actually.
Here's an addition to that. If somebody wants to track rolls, if you want to like track points and stuff or track what's hitting, I use a square for a 7-out. I use a circle for points established, and then a circle for the point made, and I shade it in, meaning a point was made after it was established. If it's a come out 7, I'll put a circle out around a come out 7 versus a box out of a 7-out. That's a good way to track what's happening, what's hit.
Yeah.
You can also track by putting down what was the dice combination if you can get past looking past the stick person.
Yeah, that's not a bad way. And JMG, I
But
just
that's
saw
really
you
only
joined.
for hopping purpose.
Yeah. You can't use your phone at the table. So like if you want to turn around every single roll and type it in, you can. If you're underneath the drink rail, you can do it. But you'd have to kind of be sitting to do that. So that's why the phones don't work well, because they will tell you to get off them eventually. But again, if you want to turn around every roll, you can do that. That's up to you. But Craig, going off your thing real quick, one way that I did it when I was tracking them was so I would, shooter, whoever, and then like line 1 on the notepad would be, their roll, right? So if they like say they hit a point, I would underline that they hit a point. So like the last roll would be underlined, and then I would go to the next line and then start there. So like I
Yeah.
knew what was coming. So like every line decision I would underline because it made sense to me. Underline the line decision. So like even with sevens, ace deuces, whatever craps numbers on the come out, I would mark that off. Um,
And if you're not writing down
but
like the dice rolls, you can at least distinguish the hard ways by just putting an H next to the number.
Right.
yeah, yep.
Yeah, there's all kind of shorthand that you can. Everyone will develop
Right,
their own
right.
style.
Yeah, whatever works best for
Yeah.
you, honestly. Like that's what it comes down to, what works well for you, what is your preferred method of tracking, and then what are you tracking, right? If you're looking for line decisions, then your tracking should have something to do with line decisions. If you're looking for dice combinations, then you have to have the dice combinations written down. If you're looking for just numbers that are hit, then simple numbers written down will be good enough, right? It's just what are you looking to get out of what you're tracking?
Yeah, what
That's
are
what's the
you
important
tracking
part.
for? Right.
Exactly. So, all right. I think that was a kind of a potpourri of topics. But it was good. That was good topics though.
Yeah.
All right. I think I didn't see any more. Actually, I did see one more question, but what's it called?
Are
Which
we in a
one?
hurry?
Fuzzy asked, do you think they always rate you fairly, and does betting for the dealers cause them to overrate you? We can touch on that one quickly because we did talk about rating a little bit. Um, I can start off. I think for the most part, they're relatively fair. There's certain
Mhm.
box men that I know that are just sticklers and like they're going to rate you like shit regardless. You could bitch, moan, and complain. They're probably going to rate you even worse. So that's that. I think for the most part, it's pretty fair. And I don't have a problem with the dealer bets. The dealers, I mean, where I play, they know my moves to the point where like they already know they're taking this off for the dealers. Like I don't even have to tell them that. They'll ask me once because they have to for like the cameras and stuff, and then after that, I just keep it going, keep it going. So I don't know, John. Any thoughts on that? Do they rate
No,
fairly?
I mean, I think they're for the most part, unless you piss somebody off, they're pretty fair. And it just
Yeah,
the tips only help because it puts eyeballs on your bets. And generally speaking, you're tipping when you're winning, so your bets are probably bigger. So when you drop a tip out there and you're at 3, 4, 5 units, it looks better.
yep, true. Dialing,
Yeah, it's more consistency. That as long as you're consistent with your bets, and they should be
Mhm.
consistent with rating you. So
That's right.
whether that be a high rating, or if they're a piss poor box person or four person, then they're still going to consistently rate you either low, medium, or high. But whatever it is quote unquote still going to be fair. They're not going to favor one player over another or any insanity like that. That's not going to happen.
Right.
yep. And Craig, any thoughts on that one?
No thoughts. Thank you.
Okay. All right. That's going to be the season 3 finale. So stay tuned for more information to come with
Mhm.
regarding Craps Chat. PG dice influence and random stuff. The table is a medium-ish surface. It's not hard. It's not bouncy. I would say it's a relatively medium, leans maybe slightly bouncy, but it's a pretty medium surface overall. That 107 rolls occurred on. They did make the table less bouncy with their new felts. It's a little bit harder than it was. It used to be bouncier, but now it's a little bit harder, but it's still not hard. Medium is what I would call it. All right. Season 3. We appreciate everybody who tuned in during the whole season, especially tonight. Good, again, potpourri of topics discussed tonight. So our final thoughts and final words for our finale episode. Craig, final thoughts, final words.
Final words on tonight's episode. I'm going to go back to the shooting. If you're practicing your shooting and you're locked in on your landing zone, and you know you're going to hit sevens. If you're paying attention, you can find out where you're hitting sevens on the landing zone, and then start using that for your come out rolls. Like, why not make your toss work for both things? Work for hitting points and for a good come out game. Because a come out game, and as John will tell you, when you get into those kinds of rolls where somebody can't get out of the come out roll, and you're start pressing up your pass line, because that'll give you the opportunity to do more with the 3, 4, 5 times odds on your uh, on your pass line. Example, if I start off with a 25 minimum table, and I'm usually doing like a craps bet for $5 and an ATS, if a seven rolls, it pretty much is a push on the ATS, and then I'll go ahead and I'll put $5 or $10 more on the pass line. Well, now I can go 3 times, on a 4 and 10 as the point, and do a $90 odds in the back, or 105 on the back. That works for me. So, for final thoughts for season 3, I thought it was a very interesting turn that we did by going to a panel discussion, where it was a locked-in panel, bringing in special guests. I thought that was really fun. I know it started off a little rocky this season, and towards the end of the season, we kind of were trying to find each other because we had so many life issues, things going on. So it was hard to get everybody on the same page on the same weekend. Um, you know, it's a panel thing. So if it's a panel thing going forward, you may not see me next year on the panel. You might see a new person come in, which is totally cool because I'm totally cool sitting back, engaging with the live chat like I always do. But I want to thank all the viewers. I want to thank all the people that came in and were special guests. We had some really heavy hitters of high-end craps community people that we all adore and love, and we look up to because they've been playing this game for 20, 25, 30 years. So for us people, me personally, I'm only a 3-year player. I can't thank everybody enough for all their advice and their wisdom, and it's been a real fun ride, and I appreciate it. And thank you, John. Thank you, Chris, for hosting. Thank you, Dylan, and I'll thank Jen too.
John, final thoughts, final words.
Yeah, well, to continue, thanks to everybody. Thanks. I mean, I'll go back to the first couple episodes. Thanks to G. Thanks to Slam, who was with it for a couple of weeks, right? I mean, it didn't work out clearly, but you try, right? I think the idea of a panel discussion was cool. Before this, we did more of an open forum kind of thing. Who knows what it looks like next year? But the fact that now we have, I think, 50 people, or we had 50 people for a minute there coming to watch us just bullshit about craps all the time is cool. Like there's still a market for this, which is nice, I thanks to Dylan for letting me produce the show. I really shouldn't be on these shows. Like I'm only here when there's less than 3 people as panelists, because just to kind of fill space. But I enjoyed taking part in it, so I appreciate everybody watching and all the comments. I'll leave this open for you for looking ahead at next year. What did you like, dislike, want to see different, add, whatever? So community discussion time. We'll ask more about that on my shows in the days and try and find ways to improve it. So until next year, when we do this show from Vegas, the first episode of season 4 will be from Vegas on my birthday weekend at Craps for the Cure. That's the next time we'll see you as a official show here. Keep everybody in your thoughts and prayers. I saw that Dustin left us with a bless up for Alfredo's mom, for Alfredo's family. Lots of other people, I hate to say lots, other people are going through some life stuff too. So a general just, right here for the folks in our community that are dealing with some stuff. And there's a lot of people dealing with some very serious stuff. So just kind of remember that it's a game. It's fun. We're all friends and all that kind of stuff, but there's a lot of love in the community as well. So just, the virtual hug from me to everybody out there who's got something going on. And if you don't have something going on, love you too.
Dylan,
final thoughts, final words.
Well, the craps community is always what it is. One big family. It's mostly happy. That's what we strive to be. So that's all. That's what the goal is. It's to make everybody be content and everybody be happy, and everybody just get along. And normally that's what happens. My last final thought is that I'm grateful to everybody that came. This season was a blast and everything. And I've got one little caveat tease that I want to invite everybody to join me. That I'm able to go live now on Crapsy. And so I am able to do live tables on my phone, and I use the random I use Crapsy as the random generator, so I'm not tossing. I'm just, we're the rolls are going a whole lot faster than like if you're at a than compared to anything else that's out there now. It's a completely new niche that I've filled, and people are liking it because it's a whole lot quicker. We get a whole lot more rolls in, and I don't have a set time or anything like that because I don't want to compete with anyone that's ever on there. So. Um, it's a random event, so you get notices on Discord for whenever anyone goes live. But just keep on checking Crapsy every blue moon, and you'll see that that I'm there. So I want to invite everybody to join in the lives on the Crapsy.
Awesome, awesome. All right, I want to thank quite a few people. Most importantly, people in chat and those who are watching. Thank you for giving us your ear and your attention for a few hours on a Sunday night. I know you guys have other things you could be doing, but we're all just a bunch of degenerates and we want to talk crap. So thank you for tuning in, for all of the chats, all the questions, all the love, all the constructive criticism, all of it. It's great. We appreciate it, and it helps us, helps the show, everything like that. So appreciate you all and thank you all for that. John, thank you for producing all the shows. Dylan, thank you for co-hosting. Craig, thank you for showing up as one of the panelists. Jen, I know you're not here, but thank you. G and Slam, thank you for also being on here throughout the beginning of the season. Um, these guys all said it really well. Reach out to people. Make sure you're checking in on your friends, your folks, all that kind of stuff. Again, one last shout out to Alfredo. Thoughts and prayers are with you and your family. And guys, stay tuned for season 4. It's going to be it's gonna be fun. All right, it's gonna be fun. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, don't forget to check out all the other craps content that is coming out on YouTube and all the other stuff. We love you all. Have a great night. This is season 3 wrapped.